What's up YouTube? Scott, Skynet Tradition, back with another video. I thought I would bring you guys a video today, kind of dissecting my collection a little bit, and I've been tabulating some numbers over the last, couple weeks or so, and I'm going to compare this to about 3.5 years ago when I did a similar video, and I had a different breakdown in my collection at that time. So what you have in front of you is my current collection breakdown as of right now, June 2022, as a product of value. And I'm doing this just because it's fun to watch your collection kind of morph over time. Back around 2018, early 2019, I decided to diversify the collection a little bit. I was definitely very heavy into vintage football, which it's my first love, and obviously I'm still very fond of vintage football, and it's a huge part of what I enjoy collecting. But I didn't want necessarily all those eggs in one basket. I'm a lover of all sports, baseball, basketball, in addition to football. So I did decide to diversify a little more into those other areas. So as you can see in front of you, as of right now, as a product of value, about the biggest piece of the pie there is vintage football. For 43% of the values in that. And then you can see the next biggest piece of the pie up here is vintage baseball at about 25%. And then modern football coming in at 17%. And basketball at about 9%, with about 4% up here in memorabilia. So that includes like posters, signed, framed items that I have, or other items like helmets and things like that. And there's just a small percentage I have in like hockey, golf, boxing cards that makes up, and non-sports cards as well, makes up about less than 2% of the collection. So, and just for comparison, so if you're talking about 3.5 years ago, this is kind of where we were at right here. So about 3.5 years ago, I was about 78% in football in general, and now I'm at about 60% as far as the value goes. So um, I've just decided to put that into other things since then. So that's definitely a drop, about 18%. So that's quite a bit. And then it's kind of fun to see where I spread that out to. You can see back 3.5 years ago, baseball was only about 14% of the value of the collection. Now it's at about 25%. So definitely a good sized chunk. And basketball was really only 3%. I really only had a few Bucks cards that I've collected, and now I've branched into some other players in basketball, and now that's up to about 9%. Memorabilia stayed about the same, about 4% of the collection. Haven't really bought a ton in that realm necessarily over the last few years. And then I just have the other area here, which is like non-sports and other cards, and it's gone from about 1% to 2% in that time. So just kind of a fun video showing you how the collection has changed definitely over the last 3.5 years, which is great because that's actually kind of what I was shooting for. And I mean, at the end of the day, you should collect what you enjoy, and I do enjoy these other areas. It was just a conscious effort to allocate funds towards collecting some of that stuff rather than just focusing on vintage football. At the end of the day, we only all have so much collecting budget, so we do need to decide where to put it. And then at the very bottom here, I have kind of a breakdown in general of where my collection's at today. And from what I calculated, about 73% of the collection is in vintage cards. That's, vintage football, basketball, or baseball. I guess I do have a few vintage hockey cards, but they don't really make up a huge portion. I do have some vintage non-sport as well, and golf and boxing. So yeah, about 73%. So just, rough estimate, about 3/4 of my collection is vintage. And as you can see, about 23% modern, semi-modern. So that's anything after 1980. So that includes some of the 80s rookies, as well as like, there's all the, like game used patch cards I've collected from the late 90s and early 2000s. Those would all be included in the modern, semi-modern category. So that's about 23%, and then 4% to memorabilia. So that's kind of the rough breakdown. Still definitely slanted towards vintage, and that's the way I like it. probably a little more modern to semi-modern than I had back 3.5 years ago, but I really like this kind of balance for what I like to collect. So otherwise, hope you guys are all doing well. It is fun to kind of go through your collection. I would encourage some of you guys to make videos. I know that if you guys collect different things, modern, vintage, different sports, I think it's fun to kind of break down the collection just to show, where the value is at. It's kind of fun to just to go through it. Obviously, some of you guys are very specific in what you collect, whether it be like pre-war or just vintage baseball, and you already know where the percentages are. But I really wanted to try to make my collection more balanced, and I think this is showing that it's definitely trending that way. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you guys all have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.